Hey, currency kings and queens, I wanted to come in and share a video with y'all regarding our follow-up from Friday's trade. So I know a lot of you were in USD JPY, some of you weren't, and then I think we looked at GU and a couple others. So let's follow up from that previous video and see where we are. So as you can see on the charts, I have USD JPY. Now the previous video, we were looking for it to go up because as you can see here on the volume candles from Friday, we had a run down, retraced a little bit and came down to a level of support here. It had a double bottom. Let me take this off. So it had a double bottom, and what the projection was for it to continue, because as you can see, it did the wave pattern of the W. But instead of it actually going up, which I'll erase that, because just be aware and mindful that you have to move when the market moves. So whatever it does, you don't have your analysis and your bias and you stick to it when you see the market doing something else. You change with the market. So as you can see, I'll take this box off here for USD, JPY, and then we'll also go over some news. So what it actually did, instead of shooting straight up like in a world of perfectionism of us traders, what we would think it would do, it is still trending. Let me put since I'm on a lower time frame, 50 moving average. So it is still trending below the 50 moving average. Now, what we expected it to do was shoot straight up to this level of resistance here. But right now, it looks like it's respecting the 50 EMA. And it's kind of trending below it. But just keep in mind, since we have the imbalance finder on here, that there are still some imbalances and fair value gaps that it needs to fill. Taking into consideration that we still have an uptrend on the higher time frame, which is the daily. The 4-hour looks like it broke below the 200 EMA. So there's a rejection wick here. You see how the huge rejection wick came? And then if it's going to start on a downtrend, it'll have an area of supply here that it can tap into. And I'll change that to a different color since we already have some yellow on the charts. So if you can see, and then here on the 4-hour, there's a higher low, higher low. There's a level here that it broke below. And then we're continuing down and we broke below the 200 EMA. So right now we're trying to see if it's going to go up to the supply zone, check into that, and continue down, which would ultimately start a downtrend if it breaks below these two areas on your daily. So USD JPY, we're going to continue to look at it. It looks delicious from the 30-minute. You see how on the 1 hour, let's do 4-hour. You see how the 4-hour we did this. This is the last bullish candle before it started to have bearish sentiment on that time frame. But do you see how when you drop down lower, it's marking up a whole zone? So if y'all feel comfortable marking up a whole zone instead of a candlestick, just pay attention to that zone. So if it can touch anywhere within that zone and then continue in the direction, in this case, down, then you could still have a pretty decent trade, because I would call this a high quality trade because of the gaps in there and the supply zone. So on USD JPY, we're going to continue to monitor and watch. If it checks into your strategy or your trading style as far as what you trade for rules, make sure you stick to your rules and take care of your risk management management, like I will always say. But if it checks in to where it's looking like it's going to be part of the strategy that you trade, and you can get in for a sale possibly, do that. It could possibly blow straight through that resistance. So let's just watch USD JPY. As far as any news that I'm aware of on that pair, let's look at it. So tomorrow is the 20th. The market will open this evening. As far as news for USD JPY, we don't have any this evening. And tomorrow we have some Great Britain pound news and Aussie news. So I don't see anything coming out that either USD or JPY, the yen. So as far as volume, we're just going to continue to watch the market. And let's move on to our next pair. So let's always remember and keep in mind for news, when news is coming out, as we previously looked at the news, the only thing that I actually see coming out that could affect it on Monday. And then we also have to be aware and cognizant of the fact that this is Thanksgiving week. For those of you that I've not had a chance to say happy Thanksgiving for, I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. It's a time for us to get together, to enjoy each other, to have the joy of, eating and celebrating just human life. And I just wanted to take time out of this video to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. As noted before, I didn't have any news relative to USD JPY, and then I'm also going to go over GU real quick for y'all. And then looking at the news at 1:45 on Monday, they have some BOE Government Bailey is going to speak at 1:45 p.m. So we could probably see some volume or some volatility around that time on the GBP pairs. So let's look at that. Okay, y'all, let's move on to GU. This is one of my favorite pairs outside of GJ. Usually, as y'all know, I'll trade GU, GJ, and gold. So looking at GU, the news that was supposed to come out on Monday, which is tomorrow at 1:45, keep that in mind. But the actual pair itself, let's look at it and see if it has anything that we can see that has changed over the course of Friday and what will happen on this evening. So looking at GU, we have on the higher time frame a level of support that was created. So since we have that level of support here on the daily, sorry, I probably said 4 hour. I'm looking at the level of support that was created here on the daily. I'm going to delete this from last week on Friday. I'm sorry, not last week. This was a couple weeks ago. So we can most definitely delete that. We're on the higher time frame. We are looking at the 200 EMA, which is what we like to do on the higher time frames. For the 4 hour, it is trending still above this 200 EMA. So my bias is still going to be an uptrend until proven otherwise. So let me fix my chart. Okay, and on GU for the daily, I'll mark up the support level here, because even if we on the daily was to draw a trend line, y'all, let's draw a trend line. I'm sorry, y'all. Here, this is a major trend line. This is touching. And then the trend line here would be considered a little minor trend line. So you could also draw one in there if you'd like. But if you notice, it broke below that trend line on the daily. And let's stretch this out a little bit more and then drop down. So it has been trending below that trend line on the daily for a while. which is why I said, hey, there's a downtrend here that it broke, but it looks like it's going up, filling those imbalances, and it broke above. So GU is kind of all over the place on the daily. On the 4 hours, since it is above the 200, I am going to consider it being a uptrend, because that is the current trend that it is in, and we always want to go with what's current. And then before close, we had a bullish bar, and we're going to look at this area of support here for resistance. So there's a higher high from this previous high here, and it's uptrending. We can see a higher high created here, another higher high. So what would we expect this bar to do? Not meaning that it will get it done and do it, but we're going to expect it to go up here and test this area. And if it breaks through, we're continuing on our uptrend. So there is also some areas of imbalances below that. So it could perhaps go to those areas, fill those in. If it taps into this resistance and bounces back down to fill that in, we have a demand zone. So we would draw the zone up on the 4 hour, and I'll change the color just so we can all stay on the same page. Green means money. So if it does what, I'd expect it to do, which is continue on the trend, we have our demand zone drawn with our fair value gap, which is an imbalance. It was supposed to actually go down from this area, touch here, but let's just watch it and see. It may have enough momentum to where it can just kind of break through this without going down to test. So when you are in the market and looking at price, and you have to really know what you're doing and actually what the market's doing. And sometimes you can't even explain what it's doing. That's why it's important for you to use your correct risk management. So looking here, there is a consolidation or a range on the lower time frames in which I trade within the 30 to 15 minute zones. So we're just going to keep an eye on it. All these yellow areas are gaps that can potentially be filled. The market could go to these areas and fill those gaps. So let's just be watchful. It could be choppy just because it's Thanksgiving week. A lot of us are not trading. I'm just being real selective about what I trade. So all I have for y'all this week. I will probably do another video on next week, and we will hopefully be going into December and beyond. Don't think I'm gonna trade December, but let's just see what the market does. I don't like trading close to holidays or the weeks of holidays. So if y'all are able to get something, get in there and get something and get out, props to you. But a lot of people make their trading schedules around the holidays, and they just typically don't trade holidays. I'm still real selective. If I see something that catches my eye, that follows my rules, I'll get in, but if not, I'll just leave it alone. So hopefully you all have the same outlook on that. Just make sure y'all celebrate like you've never celebrated before. Be careful traveling for those of you that are traveling in and out of state. And until next time, talk to you soon. This is Currency Queen.